Hey guys, what's up? It's me. I didn't mean to go this long without making a video. Time got away from me there, but I'm glad to be back, and I think you guys are really gonna like this one. I think I'm gonna do something really important in this video. Today I'm gonna be talking about architecture and a new style of architecture that I believe in very much. Now, when it comes to art, you can avoid most forms of art, and people do pick and choose in their daily lives which art they come in contact with. If you don't like films or TV shows, you don't have to watch them. If you don't like reading, you don't have to read a book or any sort of serious literature. I know some of us wish that social media counted as reading, but but if you don't like literature, you don't have to read it. Paintings, you don't have to look at a painting, you don't have to have a painting on your walls. They'll be pretty boring, but you don't need to have it. But notice there I said walls, and that's because most of us do live somewhere or want to live somewhere. And even if you don't, you probably work somewhere or visit other places. So the role of the building in our society cannot be denied. And that indicates that, to me, that architecture is one of the most significant forms of art in our society. With that being said, architecture is also the greatest challenge to us here in the 21st century, because what else has so much utility and so much importance? So now I'd like to talk about my new style of architecture. I was inspired by 1960s and 70s types of innovation in architecture and innovation in engineering. And what I would like to say is that the engineers can always try and push the cost down and find a new way to do something better. But it's the role of the architect to actually design the form first and foremost. And the form of the building, the shape of the building, that is what's going to be affecting your life. So how do we get the form? I personally don't think that the architect needs to be concerned with the baseboards or the speckled paint. Certainly they don't have to be concerned with the colors, but they do need to be concerned with where the window holes are placed and the length and width of each wall, even the thickness, of course, going from room to room, the placement of doorways, the placement of lights. These are all very important, and these are all characteristics of the form of the building. In my new type of architecture, William architecture is what I'm calling it, the form comes from the function, and the function of the building is to be as comfortable as possible. Now, in the future, we're going to be running out of space. We already have been for a while. So what I propose is a very stripped down, needs-based allocation of space. Imagine you're in your bed and you're feeling thirsty, and you reach right over to your nightstand and you grab a water there. But it's not a water that you place on your nightstand because you knew you'd be thirsty. It's a water that you placed into your nightstand fridge, because that's where you keep all of your food and water, because you only have one room to live in. Now, some would say that there are other good places for the refrigerator, such as other rooms like a kitchen. But this is great because with this purpose, with this design, you don't have to leave your bed at all. And you could potentially go your entire life without leaving it and having to walk somewhere else, because Amazon can come right to your door and fill the fridge. They can even stock the fridge from the other side of the room. The fridge has a false back to it, and the vending people, they can reach in and give you food there, right there. And there's going to be an oven right close to the bathroom door. So that's also close to the bed. And you'll just have to reach over to the other side and pull open the oven. It's not a functional oven, but it does have food in it that has been delivered by Grubhub employees. It's a new joint venture that we're doing. Grubhub and Amazon are working together under my leadership. So the fridge is short. It functions as a nightstand. It has a lamp on it, and you can use the light of the lamp to look at your cell phone when you're browsing Facebook, which is in a joint collaboration with Amazon. Facebook and Amazon are getting together so that you can just post on Facebook, oh boy, I wish I had some mac and cheese, and then Amazon sees, they get word of that. They're going to their partners at Grubhub, and they're saying, hey, let's get this guy some mac and cheese and deliver it to his oven. And then you turn back around on Facebook and go, great work, fellas. And Grubhub gets word of that because they go through Amazon. They hear everything that you say on Facebook. Now let's examine the rest of this diagram. Right in front of the fridge, we have the front door, and there should be enough space. If you are able to pay for a big enough room, then the distance between the bed and the door will be big enough to where you can actually open the door all the way. And the fridge would also be bigger in that situation. If not, you may be able to buy a smaller bed, potentially. And the fridge will be smaller, but you'd have... Well, no, the fridge could be the same size as well. So that would be a good option for people who are looking to do it cheap. Right to the right underneath the oven there, you see the bathroom door, which goes into a separate bathroom, which I'm not going to explain. And then right next to that door, you see the bookshelf. Now that bookshelf is, it's not particularly big. It's got to be out of the way of the door. But it doesn't need to be big because that's where you can keep your iPad and your Kindle and your laptop. And then underneath the bathroom door, we have another shape there. I'm not really sure what that is. I think it's probably a desk with a gaming computer. But there could also be, I don't know, it could potentially be a dresser for clothes. Yeah, it could be that. If it's not, then the dresser could go somewhere else. It could go under the bed. I was sort of thinking that the bed would be in line with the floor so that you could use it for your VR, but we can rework that. And so if the bed is off the floor, we can put the clothes underneath the bed in like a shelf, some kind of drawer or something. I think that would work as well. I don't know. I know it's not completely fully fledged out, but so let's just try and get a good idea of the size here. I'm going to draw another diagram, and these rooms are roughly 4 people wide. I'm drawing the people too small. It's not supposed to be this big. It's not going to be this big. Don't get your hopes up. It's going to be it's going to be smaller. And then how tall is it? So these people, they're laying down on the floor, basically. I really don't think that it's going to be 2 body lengths, including the head. I think it's going to be less than that. I think it's got to be about 1 body length long. Just about. Maybe a bit more because you need room for like your pillow, but I mean, keep in mind, guys, this is just the floor space. You're going to have the oven and stuff built into the wall. And then you also have the bathroom over to the right, which is going to have a toilet shower combo to save space. And then also a sink. Well, you could really just use the shower. So maybe that's not even... But I think you get the idea. And then the hallway's to the left there. And you can flip it around. The whole goal is to make an apartment complex that is just like a huge rectangle just stretching into the sky, and we build it out of the cheapest materials available so that everything looks the same. And we get about 400 of those. We can house enough people to write Amazon reviews online. So the city is going to be just tower after tower after tower, and the highways are going to be built on stilts. The highways are going to run right by the penthouse, and then the penthouse are actually the cheapest apartments. The highways run right by it, and it keeps people up all night because you got the supply trucks just ferrying oil just back and forth. And then the most expensive apartments they're at the bottom because those are closest to the ground. And so, as far as I know, smog rises pretty well. So if you have a pretty cheap apartment and it's high up in the sky, you can't see anything. But if you're down at the ground, we have these vents sucking up the bad air and putting out oxygen. and you have to be pretty rich to get to the bottom floor. But then you can even step outside and feel the grass and touch the trees and listen to the birds, listen to the bird machines that we have making bird noises. And that's pretty much my idea. I think the one thing I would say here on this diagram is I'm sort of taking the measurements of the 1960s. I'm a very 1960s guy. And back then, they weren't even aware of how big a human being could get. So if you really think about it, this is like probably only, it's 4 people wide, but it's really only like 2 Americans wide. So that might pose a problem to American markets. But we're going to be rolling it out in the just the most fucked up European countries imaginable. That's where we'll start. And then if it works, then we'll make it happen. All right. So that's my plan for the architecture, and I hope you found some ideas in there that were interesting. And next week I'll be talking about how we can use the new awesome genetic modification of food in our culinary, in our cuisine. So get excited for that.